Well, good morning, Facebook family and friends. Hope you're all doing well this morning. Woke up this morning with the mountains around the Coachella Valley covered with snow. Looks like Joshua Tree got quite a bit. Well, I don't know how much it got, but the snow level was down quite low last night. They're saying it's supposed to rain here in the valley today, but my experience tells me it's not going to happen. One, it's sun's already up, and generally the sun's already up, it won't start raining. Hey, Kathy, how are you? Sun's already up, so generally it doesn't rain here in the valley once the sun comes up. So, but it's a beautiful place to live. Beautiful place to live. Mountains all around us, and sunsets out here are gorgeous. Hey, Jared, the shadows on the hills are just absolutely beautiful. There's something magical about it out here. You wouldn't think that being a desert, but it is magical. All right, I'll just jump right into it this morning. Now, the one thing, hey, Dora, the one thing that I want to make sure that everybody does when they listen to me is to listen to me with an open mind. Some of the stuff that I talk about can be foreign. Maybe it's like, really? But, I had that attitude when I first started my journey. And the open mind is what really helped me to recover. So let me start with a quote. So just have the open mind is all that I ask. And if it applies to you, great. If it doesn't, that's okay too. And if it doesn't apply to you today, oftentimes in my life, I listened to stuff and didn't think it applied to me. Later down the road, I understood it and I got it. So that's all I ask, okay? So the day I quoted from was my trip to Maui, walking down the beach. I love Maui, where that picture was taken. The road to recovery is a road back to your true, authentic self. That's a quote out of my book, Healing the Man Within. What I'm going to talk about today, chapter 13 in my book, talks about finding your authentic self. And oftentimes people think that recovery is just about not drinking and using or gambling or pornography and all that. And when I read this morning, right here is what recovery is about. It's coming back to your true, authentic self. And that might be kind of hard to grasp. Well, I am my true, authentic self, and maybe you are. That could be very true. And then again, maybe you're not. I got a post today that's called the Wisdom Builders, and it was Galatians 1:10. So I'm going to read Galatians 1:10 because it's really fitting for today. It says, obviously, I'm not trying to win the approval of people, but of God. If pleasing people were my goal, I would not be Christ's servant. That speaks volumes, but how many of us in the reality, when we peel back the facade, are trying to actually please people? We're more concerned about what people think about us than what God might think about us. Now, again, this doesn't pertain to everybody. Don Miguel Ruiz wrote a book, The Four Agreements. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take things personally. And there's two others. I can never remember the four. But he talks about finding the authentic self in there and the domestication of self. And what I like, what he says in there is that our lives, before we were born, the direction of our life was already decided by our grandfathers and their grandfathers. It's generational. They decide what they want of their children. To a degree, that's okay, but to a big degree, it's a big problem with a lot of people. See, we're all born with a true self. Our identity is in Christ. Let's look at cartwheels. So this is in my book. I really like this. When we're kids, so oftentimes we'll do cartwheels or we'll roll down the hill, or we do things that we just love to do. We love the feeling it gets when we do it. We feel graceful. We feel excited. And we just feel good about ourselves. And then one day, mom or dad or Uncle Billy or Aunt Jane, they start acknowledging what we're doing and how good we're doing it, which is good, which is great, which is good. But then what happens over time is we quit doing those cartwheels for ourselves. And we start doing them for other people. We start doing them for the approval of other people. But cartwheels are only going to get so much attention. And then pretty soon, we're not getting that attention no more. Mom, Dad, look, I'm doing cartwheels. Yeah, we've seen you do them 1,000 times. Wow. So we went from pleasing ourselves to pleasing other people at a young age. And as we grow older, that pattern continues. Now, again, not in everybody. I understand that. Yeah, I got to keep on saying that because I do talk in general terms, but I also know that all people aren't the same. Okay? So if we're all born with a true self, we're born as the image of Christ. I'm taking some stuff from my book this morning. So much like an acorn, the psychologist Karen Horney talks about this, and it's pretty phenomenal. You take an acorn. Inside the acorn is the DNA of an oak tree. And nothing that we can do, nothing that we do, will keep that acorn from developing into a giant oak tree. Nothing we as a human being can do. Yeah, it's going to be an oak tree like many other oak trees. And it's also going to have its own unique characteristics to it. You know, one might be a little bit bigger than the other. One might not be quite so big. Might have different leaves. Different size branches. So it's still an oak tree, but it has its own unique. In the same way that the oak trees, that acorn is genetically programmed to be an oak tree, we're genetically programmed to be our true self. The only thing that can keep that oak tree from growing is if it's not planted in good soil, because then it won't have a chance to sprout. And if it's not watered properly, if it doesn't receive the proper nutrients that it needs to grow into the giant oak tree. But if that giant oak tree is rooted strong in ground's fertile soil, it gets all the nutrients it needs as it grows, nothing can